Breaking Mariners news from ESPN's Jeff Passan. The Mariners and Cal Raleigh have agreed to terms on a contract extension. They are finalizing a 6-year, $105 million contract extension. The deal starts this season. It buys out 3 years of free agency. Jeff adds a huge deal to keep a franchise catcher in Seattle. A couple things at play here, Bump. Number one, the importance of Cal Raleigh to this roster. Number two, the idea of keeping a player for as much of his career, ideally his entire career, because that just doesn't really happen in sports anymore. We don't know that that'll happen with Cal, but this increases the likelihood. And number three, the idea of the Mariners being a team to do that, because that also is not something that happens. One little thing I'm going to throw in here. Tell me what you think about this. From The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal, Raleigh's contract includes a full no-trade clause.
Okay, got some power in this deal. I like that. No, this is a good move, man. You're talking about a catcher who led all catchers when it comes to home runs, led them in RBIs. We're not too stressed out about the average. We know what comes with that. But he is a pillar on this team, right? You group all the arms together as one, and then you have Cal, and you're hoping that Julio's pillar just continues to develop and grow strong and help this thing build. But you have to keep the guys who contribute on the field and off the field.
Yes.
Right? Cal's like a coach out there, especially in situations like spring training when they're trying new pitches and he's communicating. Like he's the bridge between giving hitters information about pitches and then talking to the pitchers about information. He's just a box of knowledge that Cal has. And the way that he does it, I think, is perfect for this young group and for this organization. You just locked up the best catcher in the game.
Yeah, we've got Trevor May joining us in less than 30 minutes. Perfect timing for Trevor to come on. We're going to obviously ask him a ton about Cal's impact here. It's so interesting. You go, jump a couple years back, and you would have thought it would be Julio and Jared Kelenic as the two pillars of this team. You mentioned being a pillar of this team. Like, oh, those are the linchpins. Those are the things that are going to keep this thing afloat. Yeah, one half of that worked out wonderfully with Julio. I say wonderfully knowing that he's still polarizing, but in my mind worked out wonderfully. I didn't anticipate that Cal would end up being the other central piece to this. Now, granted, catchers have that special place when, like, a good catcher is like a great captain. Like, a good catcher can be a great leader for a team. I didn't have, like, exceptionally high expectations for Cal, and he has surpassed every single one of mine. I am so glad the Mariners made what I feel is the right choice.
Well, there's a reason why a bunch of catchers go on to be managers.
Yeah.
Right, because they see the game differently. It's kind of like my buddy Elmer. He's a goalie, right? And I talked to him about soccer, and the way he describes the game is not the way that I see the game, because he's on the back end and he sees everything. He has that panoramic view, and that's Cal. He's involved in every single play in the game. He's essentially a quarterback out there, and when you have someone who's reliable, who's dependable, and plays almost every game. I mean, 2022, 119. 2023, 145 games. 2024, 153 games. Now, you locked him up for 6. We got to take care of that body now and make sure
that's actually a good point.
that he's going to be good to go. But, no, this is the best news. It's like we've been waiting for something to get us hyped again about the Mariners, and this might be it so far.
Just in time for opening day. And again, we're not done with interviews. Trevor May going to join us. We were going to bring him on to talk about opening day and help preview the Mariners season, and now we get a new contract extension to talk about with the Mariners and Cal Raleigh. This was Cal on with Brock and Salk. They talked to him out in Peoria, and credit those two for trying to get Cal to answer a question about a potential contract extension. This is what he had to say in February about the idea of spending a career with one team.
I've said it before. I would love nothing more to, play for one team my whole career. And, Seattle has been nothing but good to me. You guys and everyone else, they've welcomed me with open arms. And, the people are great. I love the city. I love this organization. And, I really would love that. Some of that's out of my hands, obviously.
But are you someone that feels you have to test free agency? You owe it to yourself to get and see what the open market is? Or is it a possibility to sign something before then?
No, I'm completely open to signing something before then.
I did not believe Cal. Full disclosure, I will tell you guys.
I did.
Really?
I felt it in his voice.
Yes, but you are better at reading people. Like, I am someone who, again, born and raised in Seattle, shout out SeaTac, Washington, and I typically assume, and I'm a negative person in general, so I'll let people know not everyone born and raised here is like me, but I typically assume the best players are going to go somewhere else. People for some reason, they don't always want to come to Seattle. Free agency can be really tough. And even though Cal came into his own here, maybe he goes back to the East Coast. Maybe he wants a team in the Southeast. Maybe he'll get just amazing offers from other teams that he can't turn down. Maybe the Mariners will be unwilling to give him a number that he'll love. I just naturally found myself going to that place. I am so relieved. Like, the first thing I thought of wasn't just, oh, cool, Cal's staying here in Seattle. It was, oh, cool, the Mariners are keeping Cal in Seattle.
Yeah, they made a move. And I believed him just off of just the tone of his voice when he said that. It felt genuine. One of my first reactions to this contract was, man, that sounds kind of cheap for Cal. So I went back and I'm looking at what guys are getting paid. When it comes to this annual average, he's third amongst catchers, 17.5. You have Salvador Perez at 20 mil, and you have JT Realmuto at 23. And when it comes to his overall contract value, he's third. So they didn't make him the highest paid catcher in the game, but he's right up there, man. Yeah. And I think that's important because when you go platinum, like our guy Cal did, he needs platinum type of money. He needs to feel like he is appreciated here. And that's something that concerns us a little bit sometimes with the Mariners because we know that they don't like to spend money. Yeah. They did spend a lot of money on Julio. Feel what you want about that. But I'm happy that they gave him a number that put him up the top with the best because it's an argument that he is the best catcher in the game. And you want to hold this down. You got to keep the band together. Cal, those 5 arms, the young talent that you have, it's important that you keep this group together. Now build around it. I know, focus on Cal. Don't focus on the negative. Focus on Cal, right? Now I'm like, okay, but we got our catcher. Let's keep building around this dude, though.
That's just the analyst brain working is going, well, now how do you build? No, stop. One story at a time. While we're sticking on the topic of Cal, I have 2 questions for you. One, what is your personal expectation for Cal this year? What are numbers that feel good to you? I know you've got his career numbers in front of you. And 2, does getting this contract extension in any way put more of an onus on his shoulders to, like, he was already a leader, but you know what I mean? It's like, well, this is your team. I mean, it's you and Julio, but there's a different kind of responsibility that Cal has.
No, I think he's already in that role, and I think that's why they're comfortable paying him this because not only does he produce when it comes to behind the plate in the batter's box, is that we've already felt like he has one of the bigger voices on this team. Mm-hmm. What do we need from Cal? I mean, look, we're talking about bombs. He's got to hit bombs. Back-to-back years where he had 30 bombs, 30 and 23 and 30 and 24, 27 and 22. And just hit for power, man, because we were just talking and going back and forth with Texers, and they mentioned there's not a lot of pop on this in this lineup. With Cal, there's pop. With Julio, there's pop. With Randy, there could be pop. Rowdy, can you tap into 35-plus home runs again? So there's potential for the pop, but he has to be the one to light the firecracker and get this thing going.
Nothing will ever be bigger, and Curtis, I'm going to pull you in for this one too. Nothing will ever be bigger than the double. Like, it is by far the play that I will always hear mentioned most as a Mariners fan, and I'm not going to suggest that this tops it in any way. However, has there been a more recently iconic play than Cal hitting that home run against the A's?
That's the one.
Rounding the bases, looking in awe of what just happened. Can we find that highlight one more time? It's just as we got a minute left here, we can find it if we can play it. Like, he's also been one of the most signature moments now of recent Mariners teams.
If Cal stays with this team for the duration of this contract, and maybe even longer, if he is privileged enough to have a statue in front of in front of T-Mobile, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be holding up the bat, and it's important, man. I think that it's important for the squad, but I think it's important for the city too. It's important for Mariners fans who have watched this team trade guys away, let them go, not re-sign, not be aggressive during the offseason, and just get let down year after year after year. It's important for the fans who have had this team's back for 30-plus years to feel this and see this and have them feel like this organization is invested in their players and taking care of the homegrowns.
One more time for Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh and the Mariners finalizing a 6-year, $105 million contract extension. One of Cal's best and most memorable moments, this.
A lot of anxious folks out here at the Bump. Cal. The pitch from Acevedo. A drive.